Hello everyone, artist Charles Wolf here. Let's do some painting together. Starting today with a bright brush, very sharp edge on those bristles, and begin with some Cadmium Red. I'm marking in loosely where the horizon line is going to be, and then creating some zigzag shapes upwards to form the outline of some morning clouds. The inspiration for this piece began when I had read a wonderful poem by the American poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. The first few lines of this piece, called Morning, goes like this: "The mist has left the greening plain, the dewdrops shine like fairy rain." And that imagery inspired me to create a painting based on that idea. I really like the imagery of the greening plain, the kind of growing of grass and spring coming and the new dawn and a bit of a mist that's just starting to leave. Really clear image for a painting, and so I'm going to create that for you today. Added a bit of white to that red to make it more of a pink. And then we're going to go right into the Cobalt Blue and the Titanium White, mixing those together. Lots of white, more white than blue. Get a nice soft sky blue. We'll blend that in above the red. It may touch a bit of the red and turn to a slight light lavender purple, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes it's fun to create pieces that are not based on photographs, like today, sort of these imaginary landscapes that we can create in our minds, and this is one of them. This is not from a photograph. This is not something that I am looking at to base this painting on. I'm simply just painting and enjoying the process of creating a very simple, beautiful landscape that is somewhat impressioned, somewhat abstracted. A friend of mine, Dave Usher, recently on one of his painting videos here on YouTube, check him out if you haven't seen his work, it's fantastic. Again, that's Dave Usher. He talked about how it's important to stand on your own 2 feet sometimes as an artist and not always do exactly like a photograph, but to try to imagine new things. And I really like that idea. This piece is sort of a response to that, completely my own. So we're just going to have some fun with the paint and explore a very simple, easy landscape together. Fantastic for beginners because it's quite simple to do. Like I said, it's a very limited palette, only 4 colors. Some black on my palette, but I'm not actually going to use it in this piece. So if you're a beginning artist, grab a canvas board, 8 by 10 inch is what I'm using, a bright brush, and you only need 4 colors: Cadmium Yellow, Cadmium Red, Cobalt Blue, and Titanium White, and that's all you need. I have talked about canvas boards before. They're wonderful for practicing, they're cheap, get some, and get into painting. It's a lot of fun, and it's not too expensive to do. I'm just using some basic acrylic paints. That's all you need to get started. Here is some Cadmium Yellow and some Titanium White mixed together to make a nice light yellow, kind of a creamy yellow. And this will be the sun rising here. We'll put that yellow at the bottom. It contrasts with the blue and the red. Just going to mark this in lightly. You can see how I'm keeping all my brushwork very loose and active, blending gently together. I'm working quite quickly because acrylic paint dries quickly. We want the colors to gently be blending into each other. Move quickly so that you can keep your colors blending seamlessly. You can always go back and touch up things later on and make adjustments after it's dried. In fact, you can even help it along with a hairdryer and dry it off if you don't like a section. Fix it by layering over more paint, but to get started, like I said, just move quickly. And don't worry about the details. They will sort of appear naturally as you go. Okay, putting in more of this yellow here. Quick brush strokes, horizontal motion. Now we're going to grab some Cobalt Blue and some of that Titanium White. A little bit more blue here. Going to match the sky color somewhat. Very faintly put in a mountain in the background, maybe a rolling hill, as it turns out to be. Very light, it should be quite light, right next to that rising sun, and that's going to illuminate this farther mountain. As things get closer to us, because the light source is in the background, they're going to become darker. Put in this next mountain. It's going to be a little bit darker because it's cutting down in front, and it is closer to us, therefore it should be a good deal darker. I'm just going to gently and lightly blend that up into the yellow to kind of give it a haze effect, as the light will be scattering across the top of it. Tosses in quickly. Need some more shape, so grab some more blue. Like I said, a little bit darker, starting from the left hand side and cut down and across. More of that blue needs to be darker. There we go. Give a little more definition to the top ridge line there. Maybe a little bit darker over here, but not too much. Gonna cut down in front like that, and then we'll put some diagonal lines here, and that will give us a great deal of depth and perspective. All of the lines in this painting are gonna be cutting over to the top left corner. If I do it correctly, it'll give us some wonderful instant perspective. Really easy to do, and suddenly I have some depth because I have some lines kind of converging. Whenever you have lines converging on each other in one direction, it'll create some instant perspective. Here's some spring green, cobalt blue, a bit of the cadmium yellow, and of course a bit of the white. We're going for a very soft, misty pastel effect based on the poem. I think that this will tie it all together nicely. So we'll blend that into the blue. If some of the blue darkens it, it's totally fine. We want some variation, and by working quickly, we can have the colors interacting with each other. We'll leave some of the darker color. We won't blend over everything. We want some contrast here for the perspective. So lighter areas are good, and we want some darker areas as well. So don't cover those up. Keep the blue lines visible. In fact, over here on the left, I get a little heavy-handed, and I'm going to put some more blue back in to reassert those lines. A little more of the blue and the white, mostly white. Blending it together, a little darker. Gently soften this background with some more blue. Put in some more lines of blue here, breaking this up, blending it together a little more. More of my spring green, just blending here, trying to get it to look just right, smoothed out. Okay, a little more blue, just going to reassert these lines like I said, and they are going to provide the contrast we need for that perspective. I have one going at a very sharp angle right there, that looks nice. Almost like rows of crops maybe on this hill, stretching outwards, maybe grapes, I'm not sure. Touch more of the darker blue mix, connect that upwards, looks great. And a few more over here in the distance, breaking it up and blending together. We'll blend that out a little bit, soften it. Should be more contrasting in the foreground, and then farther back everything should be softer. Blending this together, but not covering up the line completely. A little bit darker here. adding a little more titanium white to bring in some clouds and soften the yellow and just add some more texture and interest in the sky. And this will be the last step, I believe, and we'll call this a complete piece. See how easy that was? Super fast, super light, very loose, and anyone can really paint this. It's not that hard, even a child could do it. So I hope that you've enjoyed this painting lesson today. Give me a like if you enjoyed the painting. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back very soon with another painting lesson. Thanks.